Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Well, let me talk to you.
Yeah, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more. You are tuned into the entertainment edition of the ODPH, and we definitely want to keep that conversation going after the show. So, Pat, where does everybody head on over to?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. You swing on over to the website, sign up, join in, and interact with all the social media accounts. Everything's been updated, so you definitely are going to be going to the right spot, no matter whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., etc., etc. We'll be having that conversation going on in between episodes, as we always do. Also, while you're there, check out the TeePublic Store link. A lot of deals are happening right now because it is the holiday season.
Yeah.
You never know when a sale is going to pop up, so if you want to go get some ODPH swag, now is the perfect time to do it, so make sure to click on the link and check it out. Also, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ODPH podcast. One tier, $2 a month. Bonus content is right there for you. Definitely have a lot of things lined up going into 2024.
Rumor has it everything on the Patreon is all that in a bag of chips.
That's what we've been told.
Rumor has it.
That's the rumor, because rumor has it.
Uh-huh.
So definitely sign up and go check it out and find out for yourself. Also, check out the blog section. Check out the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
127,000.
Sounds about right to me. I don't question. That's why he is the statistician to the stars. Also, check out the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative. Holy smokes. Nerd Initiative has a lot of things going on.
Yeah, they do.
One of which has been is now the annual Cheersies Awards show that you know from Cheers to Comics podcast. Shout out to our guy, Brian Wayne. Him and I have always done that award show for the past few years. This year is now coming to Nerd Initiative. And let me tell you, the initial votes out of the gate have been setting some records. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of people voting, which is amazing to see. So make sure to cast your vote for this year's Best of the Best in Comics 2023. We'll be doing the live awards show on Turn a Page, Nerd Initiative, YouTube, and social networks on 8 p.m. Tuesday, January 2nd, Eastern Standard Time. Uh-huh. So cast your votes right now. And if you see a candidate up there that you think that should be on there, we have the write-in option as well.
I'll say I'm looking at the candidates right now, and a lot of these are stacked categories, especially the Marvel series category. I mean, I've read probably half of these series that are in this category, and good luck trying to pick one over the others. Yeah,
that's the crazy thing about it, that when we were trying to put the list together, and we'll go into a little more detail on Turn a Page this week, this was very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And I know that we left some books on the cutting room floor, if you will, but that's why we always put the write-in option. So if you think that your favorite title or favorite creator should be in there, definitely throw it in there. And you never know what's going to happen because the voting, like I say, is happening very fast right now. So you want to make sure you get your votes in, and voting is live until December 21st.
Yes.
So make sure to keep that in mind. And
also, we should note there is no limit on voting. You can vote as many times as you can click.
As of right now, yes.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens where we have a bot issue of some sort that we need.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if it's a Comicsgate book, we are automatically disqualifying that. Just putting that out there. So definitely, if you want to find out about all that, the music section, which is obviously has got great bands such as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Floodlands, who has new music coming out this week.
I saw the album cover. It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks very, very interesting. So I'm definitely excited to see what they have coming out. Shout out the Robots and Tom Jolo, who just played a show this past weekend. Heard nothing but rave reviews for it. Unfortunately, we were doing the Survivor Series post show, so I could not make it. But rest assured, I'm definitely trying to make it out to see those guys play because they are phenomenal musicians. Second Suitor. The list goes on and on. Basically, if it's anything and everything that is ODPH, you can find it at ODPHpodcast.com. And always remember on social media to use the hashtag ODPHpod. Kicking off the entertainment edition of the show is a big return.
Yeah, it is.
It's not CM Punk. We'll be talking about that on the sports show this week.
It's not even the biggest return in WWE this week.
No, it is not. But we do have a return of one of the most well-known icons in pop culture.
The longest running sci-fi series in television history.
Mm-hmm. And Pad, who returned to the small screen this week?
Well, it's appropriate you phrase it that way because it's exactly who. It's Doctor Who specifically. And this is, of course, the start of the 3-part special that is the 60th anniversary special, which is hard to believe because it came up in my Facebook memories like a couple of weeks or maybe about a month or so ago about how now at the time 10 years ago was the 50th, obviously. And I was away at college and going off college television, which understandably didn't have BBC America. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need to find some way to watch this because there's no way, given the gravity of what happened with the 50th special, I'm going to be able to avoid spoilers for like the next month until I get home and I'm able to watch the special. Mm. Thankfully, I found a legal way to watch the broadcast, but it's hard to believe that we're already 10 years removed from that special and now into the 60th.
Well, it's the one thing about this fan base that has kept this character alive for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very smart written show and definitely pushes a lot of boundaries that you don't find in your normal sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
And the great acting and writing that's happened throughout the years has really kept this fan base locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, with the changing of the Doctor,
yeah,
it's always a big story that happens in pop culture about who is going to be taking over the title role.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, for the time being anyway, we have a returning member of the Doctor Who family.
Yeah, that would be one David Tennant and Catherine Tate as playing the Doctor and Donna Noble, respectively.
Yes, very much big fan favorites of the fandom, and exciting to see him back. David Tennant is my favorite Doctor.
David Tennant is also mine. Matt Smith, close second. Also, we got to mention it is a return of writer-producer Russell T. Davies, who worked on Doctor Who from its reboot in 2005 through 2010, and he's now back in the writing and producing chair.
Yes. So there's a lot of things that are happening now to usher in the new era of Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm.
and it kicks off with a series of shorts, if you will.
A 3-part. It's like a 3-part movie, I guess you could say. You got to figure one's going to tie into the next, and then you're finally going to get them because we know who's going to be playing the next Doctor. The reveal has happened. Mm-hmm. This isn't going to be a sort of thing like they did with the 50th, where that was the first time you saw any hint of. I forget the actor's name. I'll have to look it up. But who played the Doctor after Matt Smith?
Peter Capaldi.
Thank you, Peter. That you saw Peter Capaldi's first appearance. Obviously, this will be the next actor's first appearance at the end of this series. But there's not a lot of mystery and intrigue. It's like, all right, we know this is going to happen. Just we got to get there. Whereas with the 50th, it was kind of like a one-off extravaganza.
Mm-hmm. But like I say, when we're on the road to Doctor Who, it's always a fun trip to go through. And obviously, coming out of the Jodie Whittaker era,
yep,
we now have the returning David Tennant, the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, that's been specifically said in the promo material, and I believe even in the episode itself, not a spoiler, that because yes, he did technically play the 10th Doctor, but this incarnation is the 14th.
Mm-hmm. And this is the stepping stone to get to the 15th Doctor, who is Ncuti Gatwa.
Uh-huh.
So we are excited to get back in the TARDIS,
yeah,
and go do the time travel one more time. So if you're new to the show, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. Drop that review on your favorite podcatcher. It does help the algorithm of the show. What we like to do is give a spoiler-free statement about what we are going to be reviewing, and this is going to be Doctor Who, entitled The Star Beast. So we're going to give you the spoiler-free breakdown of what we thought of the episode, and then we give you a countdown. After said countdown, we deep dive into spoilers. So there is nothing that we're going to hold back on saying. But if you have to duck out for whatever reason, you haven't seen the episode yet, you don't want to have anything ruined, that is the time to do it. Pad puts in the liner notes when we start talking. So you're not going to have anything ruined for you. You can watch the episode and jump back in because we definitely like having that conversation. So that being said, Pad, give me your spoiler-free statement on the Star Beast.
Well, the first thing I got to say for me, this was kind of like a jump back in because I fell off Doctor Who a little bit, and it's not anything against, Jodie Whittaker or the previous producers or the writers or any of the subject matter. It's just a simple fact of the show was on at the same time as something else I enjoyed slightly more than Doctor Who, and it fell by the wayside. I plan on going back and catching up on what I missed from the Jodie Whittaker tenure. But when I heard this was something, I'm like, all right, this is can't miss television for me. So I was excited to watch this on Saturday night here in the States, Saturday afternoon actually in the States when this dropped. And the first thing I noticed is, and maybe this has been the case because I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but like, holy shit, the production upgrade, especially the special effects, noticeable upgrade with that. Now, could that have something to do with working with Disney and Disney giving them some money towards the special effects budget? That's entirely possible. Could it also just be the case of, hey, time's gone on and technology's improved and visual effects have gotten better since the last time I watched it, 3-4 years ago? Well, that also could be true. So the first thing I got to say is kudos to the visual effects folks and the folks behind all of the production side of things, because this episode looked spectacular. But it also had the same whimsical fun that you would expect from a Doctor Who episode. The episode, as for the episode itself, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I was having a good time, seeing Donna Noble and the Doctor back and having David Tennant back as the Doctor again. It felt like a fun trip down memory lane, but it also felt like, you're waiting on the popcorn to finish popping in the microwave. Cause you're like, all right, something is building to this. We know, because given what happened with the Doctor and Donna, their last go around, and the implications of what it meant if these two ever met again, it's like, all right, I'm not ready for heartbreak on this again, and then to finally get the payoff and see what happened, it was incredible, and I was happy to see them back together and going through the fun again, and it just felt like a fun classic Doctor Who episode, that didn't have a ton of stakes behind it, but it's the first part of a 3-part episode, and it's kind of getting everybody acclimated to everything.
Seeing the return of the very polarizing Time Lord and his machine that is bigger on the outside or in the inside.
Giggity.
Yes. Was a fun trip.
Yeah, it was.
And seeing, obviously, with 60 years of television and stories, there's a lot of different directions you can try going in, but there's something about going to the past. No pun intended here. That really made this stand out and really made this into something. I think if it was anybody else at this point, I don't know if it would connect as well.
Right.
But seeing the return of David Tennant in the title role, that just brought me back, because for being somebody that when I got into Doctor Who, that's who I gravitated towards. I really did not connect with Christopher Eccleston's performance. Nothing against him and what he did.
I thought it was all right.
It was all right, but it was just something you have to take into context. If you're jumping in at that frame, he's coming out of the Time War.
It's like George Lazenby in the Bond series.
Right. There are certain elements that are going on that if you're a new viewer, you're going to miss because you don't know that side of the story.
Eccleston's a good intro because it's kind of like you're learning how to swim for the first time. You're kind of dipping your toe in the pool and you're kind of taking your first steps into the pool. And then once you get to, the David Tennant era, that's where you're kind of like, all right, you starting to understand how to swim.
Yes. So for me, this was just a welcome back. This was a friendly return.
Yeah.
It's like when your favorite creators go back on your favorite comic.
Yeah.
After some time off, and it's just like picking up the bike and writing it again.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me here with David Tennant and Catherine Tate back as Donna. I agree. This is what it felt like. This was vintage Doctor Who. And especially going off a story that it has a little comic connection with Pat Mills and Dave Gibbons writing it, or heavily influenced from it, I should say, rather.
Yep.
This just, it really hit all the marks it needed to for me to just get me back fully invested in Doctor Who, because we've seen so much of an influence of this character and writing on such shows as Legends of Tomorrow, Loki, just to name a few. And with time travel, it's always a little bit different. There's a little something that you have to really be understanding about how wild the idea is, but yet also give it some seriousness. And that is something that Doctor Who has done since its inception. So going back to this episode, I know it's the beginning of a short trip down memory lane, but I'm here for it. And I was very excited for what I saw and where we're going. And, let's just get into it, because this is definitely worth the time watching. So we are going to start talking some spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Pad. Talk to me.
Like I said, I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was a nice dip back into the universe and a fun jumping back in point. And it was a story that I felt like didn't necessarily need to be told, but I understand why it was. And I'm happy it was, just because with what happened with the Doctor and Donna Noble the last time they saw each other, and going off of that, and if they ever see each other again, she's going to die. And a lot of folks not happy with that decision, and I was kind of mixed on it at the time. I was like, I don't like it, but I can kind of see where they're going with this. So to finally have that pay off, and have a resolution to that was nice to see. I feel like the only story they could have done that would have had more of an impact is if they decided to address, Rose Tyler and David Tennant's doctor. But to me, that story is kind of like Uncle Ben and Peter Parker. You ain't changing what happens to Uncle Ben in the comics.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's for a temporary hiccup and it's back to normal after a couple issues. But this episode was incredible. It was fun, everything down to the Meep, which was kind of like the main antagonist, and what ended up being the main antagonist in the episode, and just kind of like the mystery and the whimsy of it, where it starts off so innocently, and then it almost kind of like Scooby-Doo episode a little bit, where it starts off innocent, it goes kind of crazy and wacky, and by the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, I see, I should have seen where this is going. It was a lot of fun.
It definitely was a lot of fun. Like I say, it just kicks off with that undeniable feel of Doctor Who, and especially with Tennant coming in, because he finds the way to walk the line from serious to funny, and just be like a kid in the candy store. There's just so much that he's just amazed with life.
Yeah.
And after he comes back now with his face and he's trying to piece everything together,
still trying to figure out why he's returned this way,
which is always going to be a mystery until we get to the end of his run here.
Yeah.
He winds up landing back in London, and he runs into Donna, literally.
Well, he's walking down the street, and he's just kind of getting his bearings and taking in the sights. It's London. It's, the holiday season. People are out doing some shopping, and he sees this person with an exorbitant amount of gifts in their hands. And it's like I can't remember if they were slipping or they were just losing hold of the boxes. Or maybe both. But regardless, David Tennant's doctor sees this and goes, oh, hold on just 1 second. Let me help you. And he takes the first couple of boxes off of the stack this person is holding, and he sees who it is, and he sees it's Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, and in his head you can just hear his conscience go, shit. And he puts it back, and he goes to walk away, and she goes, hey, what the heck? That's not nice.
Yeah. It's definitely a fun moment seeing those two reconnect on screen and how they go about it. But obviously, we find out as viewers that life has changed from Donna since we last saw her. Because, Pat, who is now part of her family?
She got married and had a child with this person. So she got married to a gentleman named Sean and had a daughter named Rose. So she goes, and so Doctor bumps into Donna, and then is caught with crap. Okay, I got to help her, but I hope she doesn't remember me, because, again, if she remembers anything about me, she's going to die. And all the meanwhile, her daughter comes up and he goes, oh, crap, you've now got a daughter. And then he gets into, so he resolves that. All the meanwhile, this is going on. The daughter's Rose is talking to Donna, and a spaceship crash lands in the middle of town. All the meanwhile, Donna is as oblivious as they come and doesn't see it, which, did you get the vibe off of this that this is like a regular occurrence with her? Since we last saw her, that they kind of play it up as Mom, you never see anything that goes on. So the spaceship crash lands. Donna doesn't see any of it. Meanwhile, everyone in the crowd is pulling out their phones and recording everything. And Donna's like, "Oh, you're crazy. There's no such thing as aliens." So they go off. The doctor gets in a cab with a guy, and come to find out this is Donna's husband. So he's like, okay, this is really going from bad to worse for me. And we should mention the husband is played by a gentleman named Carl Collins, and the daughter is played by Yasmin Finney, who we find out later, like Yasmin Finney, Rose also transgendered.
Yes. So as they're starting to figure out what is happening in London.
Well, are they? It seems like the daughter's kind of like, yeah, this is interesting, but this to her is like a normal day in London for her. And meanwhile, and Donna's like, oh, just going about my life is what it is, and we find the mother is like, no, nothing's wrong, absolutely nothing, everything is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's just something they're trying to play off, because obviously Donna's mother knows the secret about Donna, that if anything is tipped off about her knowing about her past as Doctor Who, she's going to die.
That would be Sylvia Noble, played by Jacqueline King.
Yes, so it's kind of a very cool thing that they see play out too. But meanwhile, they're now investigating, obviously, about a certain spaceship that they thought crashed.
Well, yeah, unit gets called in, the belief is what's being reported by the media is it crash landed, and it cuts to this warehouse, this steel warehouse in the middle of town or on the outskirts of town, wherever it is, and it's a BBC report going on, and the BBC reporter straight up just gets hauled away, thrown in the back of a military transport, and drove off. All the meanwhile, the feed to the camera's cut. And that's when we see Unit comes in, and of course, Unit, Doctor Who fans have known for a while. It's this military science opera.
It's kind of like their version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, essentially. So they're investigating the whole thing, and come to find out, the Doctor then shows up, and come to find out, this spaceship didn't crash land. It just landed.
Yes, because it appears that somebody wanted to make their entry in and make a connection with Donna. And that is a certain character that reminded me of a gremlin.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it is not. It is an entirely different one. It is a meep. And this is a character that, like I say, as this episode progresses we obviously find out there's a little more going on with this said character.
Reminded me of Bebo.
Yes, a little bit. Like
maybe that was the inspiration.
It could be, because like I say, the Beep has appeared in various Doctor Who stories in the past. But to see it now on the screen in this situation, it does provide kind of some comic relief at first, because Rose is hiding the Meep.
Yep. In her warehouse, well, not necessarily, workshop.
Yes.
That's the word I want. In her workshop, which is in her parents' backyard, because she is making stuffed animals to sell to folks in an effort to raise some money to help with the payments and money and stuff for her mom, because her mom lost her job for some reason.
Yes.
We never do find out why.
We never did find out why, which I thought was going to play into something later. But obviously with the events unfolding, they have to do what they have to do. But Unit apparently is not the only people looking for Meep.
No,
there's two alien-esque individuals.
Call them what they are. They're bugs.
Yeah, they're bugs.
They're bugs.
They are straight up looking for them, the Wrath Warriors.
Those of you with a bug phobia, you hated this episode.
And so they wind up actually tracking Meep down to Donna's house there.
Yeah. Well, and all the meanwhile, this is going on. Unit's investigating the spaceship. This is after the Doctor leaves to go off and investigate Donna, because he figures Donna's involved in this in some capacity. And the representative from Unit he's talking to goes, well, how do you figure? And he gives a brief, like, all right, well, here's the thing with Donna, and tells about the Time Lord mind, and if sees me, she dies, yada, yada. And he goes, I haven't seen her in however many years it's been. And I see her daughter, I see her husband, and then a spaceship lands in the middle of town. Like, this can't be a coincidence. So after he goes off to find Donna, some of the agents from Unit climb up to the ramp or the stairs or whatever it is to go look at the spaceship. They open the spaceship, and there's this weird celestial light just sitting on the inside of the door. And I'm looking at this thing going, all right, this has got to be alive in some capacity or whatever, however you define it.
It looks sentient.
It looks sentient, and sure enough, it seemingly was, because after the door gets open, the Unit soldiers go, all right, don't fire unless I say so. The door opens, the light starts infecting them or crossing into their bodies through their eyes. The eyes light up in this bluish, purplish glow. And then they all put their guns down. All the meanwhile, the representative from Unit, who is in a wheelchair and can't get up there and can't see what's going on, but can still see them lowering their weapons, and you got to figure she knows something's up. They all lower their visors and go off and do their own thing.
Yeah. So it is kind of an interesting sequence of events, but it ultimately revolves around everybody coming to the house, where the Doctor has to get everybody out.
Right. Well, first he wants to just take the Meep. He's like, oh, I know some people. They'll be able to help us take care of this. And the mother's like, well, perfect. This is awesome. You can just go. All the meanwhile, during this sequence, the husband is then shown up. Sean showed up and can see this sentient, weird-looking alien thing. And he's like, all right, well, he took this surprisingly well. I figured he'd pass out or something. Well, no, he's good.
The thing about it is with Doctor Who, I think everybody in this universe is very used to the unexpected.
Well, and you got to figure he's also a taxi cab driver, so he's seen some stuff.
Oh, yeah, especially in London there.
Yeah.
Like I say, just with how everything was set up, because at the beginning you see these alien invasions, and the reactions that most of the citizens had were just very lackluster.
Say the world has almost ended in London how many times in this show?
Yeah.
I'm running out of fingers to count on.
So like I say, they kind of just brushed it off.
Yeah, they brush it off. So the doctor is trying to get him out of there. All the meanwhile, the Wraith or Roth warriors, whatever they're called, or however you say it, show up on one side of the house. Then you got the other side of the house where the possessed unit soldiers show up. They start duking it out. And then all the meanwhile, and so then the doctor is trying to escort Donna, her daughter, her husband, her mother, and the Meep out of the house that's simultaneously surrounded. Oh, by the way, these houses are like downtown London style. There's no space between them. So he's got to take them up to the attic and across the attics, because he asks Sean where his taxi is. He goes, oh, it's 5 houses over. So he draws a protective shield in the air with his sonic screwdriver, which I thought was
great.
I thought that was a cool visual.
Yeah.
So he uses the protective walls to get them. He puts one on one side, one on the other side of the hallway, so it blocks the laser fire. And then they get up to the attic and they start crossing over. So and then eventually those walls do crumble down because much like Green Lantern's protective shields, they run out after a while.
Sure.
And then all the meanwhile, if it can't get any crazier, units then figured out something's going on because they then send the rest of their forces to the neighborhood. All the meanwhile, there was a kid earlier in the episode who was like convinced aliens are real and convinced there's an alien in their background. And he's watching this whole thing from his bedroom going, I'm going to have the greatest story tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is just perfect Doctor Who here. Because like I say, there's action going on. There's a little touch of comedy. It really balances out well. That it doesn't take away from anything going on with the story.
Yeah.
But once everybody gets away, we do find out that, well, the Meep has been hiding a few things.
Yeah, well, we find out through a kangaroo court of almost of sorts.
Yeah, like it's crazy to see.
Yeah, so the doctor gets everybody out, gets them into the taxi cab. They drive off. They escape. And then the doctor summons 2 of the warriors, the bug warriors there. And he throws on a ye old English, colonial times wig on. One of the powdered wigs. And he's like, I'm invoking this clause, which means you can't fight until I deem it otherwise. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And he starts analyzing this like it's a court case. And he tells Donna to look at the car. He goes, no, I want to note something. You guys were shooting with lasers. Lasers typically leave scorch marks. Donna, are there any scorch marks on this car? And she looks and she goes, oh, that's not. He goes, yeah. So you must have had those lasers set for stun. And the warriors start explaining themselves a little bit. And then the Meep gets frustrated because they start making the claim. They're like, oh, the Meeps got infected by this, basically space drugs. Let's just call it that. So, they had a trip out on some space drugs, went nuts and started killing everybody. So we had to defend ourselves because they tried killing us, and we got them all except the one left, and that's like the Emperor Meep. It's the head Meep. And then the Meep just goes, well, crap, the jig's up, and goes, you know what? And it goes, and the entire time, this is like, 30 minutes into the episode?
Yeah, I was say about halfway in.
So halfway through the episode, the entire time the Meep's been on screen, it's been this cute little fuzzable, adory little thing you expect to see in like a department store for Christmas or something. And then the switch flips, and it's like, you know what? Screw this. Screw the stunning. I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah, so the whole idea of the sweet, innocent alien who is getting hunted for
its fur.
Turns out, nope, they were on the right track, just trying to bring me back in, but I'm not going down without a fight. Kills both of the Wraths that are there, and ultimately says, yeah, the unit soldiers that were on my spaceship, well, they're under my control.
Yeah, they're on my side.
Yeah. So,
and if you don't do what I say, I'm going to kill this person's entire family.
Yeah, so literally throws down the gauntlet that, yeah, if you do anything to stop me, I'm going to kill Donna's family. And more or less, they're now taken hostage.
Which all the meanwhile, the doctor gets knocked out.
Yeah, so the doctor is typically taken out of the equation here. I mean, this is something that we've seen time and time again, but it works in this situation.
Yeah.
But they wind up getting bailed out by an unlikely source, and that's Shirley.
Yeah, the unit had a unit or whatever that was there.
Yeah, who winds up freeing them with the rocket launcher on her wheelchair.
Greatest wheelchair I've seen since Professor Xavier's.
Yeah, like this is a very cool moment because
Thing is loaded.
Yeah, they wind up just going into where the Meep is trying to escape, and sure enough, takes out the building. And with the spaceship there, the Doctor has to make a play here.
Right. Well, and then all the meanwhile, he's, they're game planning. He's like, all right, we got to take out the ship because he figures out, I forget what type of ship they called it, but it's basically this ship that like has to project up from the ground to launch. It can't just cold launch like, one of the, a usual rocket ship, so it's got to use the ground to launch up. But when it does it, it wipes out. It uses like energy or life force or lava or whatever it is from that planet to launch. And they then figure out that it'll wipe out every life in all of life in London, like 9 million people or whatever it is, and it's like, well, crap. He's like, all right, I got to go stop this. And so Unit tries to get Donna's family out, and Donna almost goes with them. And then she's like, and then she kind of pauses and she looks and she's like, hey, sorry, love you, but I got to do this. Like, I'm not going to be happy with myself if I don't do this. I got to go help the Doctor. And this is about 40 minutes into the episode. And this is the first time she's mentioned the entire episode. She said the Doctor. And the mother even points out and says about 2 seconds after I said it, she goes, oh my God, she called him the Doctor, which is panicking to the mother because, oh no, she's starting to remember.
It's been the whole plot point of Donna for years. That if she ever connected back with the Doctor, she was going to die. But it turns out that as she's getting her memories back, which she's been this magnet for this extra supernatural attention.
Borrowing a little bit from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, reactivating her memories with a set of code phrases.
Yeah. We now see that it's coming back to her, everything from Rose's birth to...
all coming back to me.
Yeah, so now she's understanding what's happening, and now the big trump card that the Meep had is gone.
Well, because, so they're in the bowels of the spaceship trying to stop it from launching. The Doctor's running back and forth, shutting stuff off, shutting this off, switching that flip, flipping that switch and flipping this switch. And then eventually, the space between the two closes with like this barrier, this transparent steel barrier. And the Doctor's like, she's like, oh, I can help, and he's like, all right, switch those 3 flips. And he's like, this isn't gonna work, I'm gonna have to do this. And he starts saying the key phrases, and like you said, she comes to and remembers. And then all of a sudden it's like she's the smartest person on the planet. It's like, nope, all right, I know what, because he's out of ideas. She's like, nope, I know what to do. Goes through everything and thwarts the Meep's plan from launching.
Yeah, she stops the ship, and they wind up taking the Meep. Is now captured by the Wraths.
Yeah.
And the big point here is everything with the meta crisis, as they were defining it as.
Which I guess is what was in Donna that would cause her to die if she ever remembered the Doctor.
Yeah, is now removed from her and Rose.
Well, we find out it passed on to Rose through birth, which is how they got away with it for a little bit, that nothing happened. But he's like, listen, this thing is growing. We got to get rid of this. And I didn't quite understand this whole part. Did they just get rid of it because they just chose to?
I think they elected to because they were worried it was going to come back. Like, the Doctor kind of had the vibe that if we don't take care of it now, like, this could come back tenfold. So they wind up getting rid of everything that is the meta crisis. So you see, it's just kind of like
they're back to normal, because even in the episode, Rose brings up, oh, I get picked on a lot, that I don't seem like I'm from here.
Yeah, so this winds up just giving them a whole new lease on life, because now it's like one of the biggest burdens that, Donna has had too, and Rose touched upon as well, has now been removed.
Yeah.
So now they're free to live their lives, and you can see Rose is definitely excited about too, because like you say,
she's had Rose has had a rough upbringing. Always felt like a little bit of out of sorts. Didn't really connect with the kids.
Right. So, this is a really great scene that it plays out too.
Yeah.
And then really kind of sets the stage for the ending act, which they really kind of speed through as well.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor kind of says, well, you guys might need some time off.
Right.
And to go visit somebody. And Pat, who do they recommend visiting?
They wanted to go see Wilfred Mott, who was Donna's grandfather or father or whatever the role was. He was not in this episode. Well, In story reason, he was not in this episode because, he had some health issues and really couldn't go downstairs. And so he was kind of confined to a home where they watch him. But in non-story purposes, the actor unfortunately passed away back in July of last year at the age of 93. So that's why, obviously, you're going to have he was so integral to that story back when Donna was the companion.
Right.
To do this story without even mentioning him is a discredit to the actor and a discredit to the character. So it was nice they included him, and so they come up with the idea like, oh, hey, he's still around. He still remembers you. He's wanted to tell me all this stuff and all these stories about you from over the years, but never could. Wouldn't it be great if we could just go see him and you could see him one more time and talk to him?
Yeah.
And so that's the plan. They go into the TARDIS, the newly redesigned TARDIS.
Yes.
Which, holy shit, again, the upgrade in budget on this show. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that was the craziest I've seen the TARDIS look in quite some time.
Yes.
All of the little circular lights on the wall, which we've seen before in various incarnations, but they're like LED now, so they're colored. Crazy. Mm-hmm. It's now got a coffee maker as well, and they're all sorts of excited about that. So Donna and the Doctor are getting ready to leave, and then Donna, for whatever reason, decides to throw coffee on the console of the TARDIS.
Oh, she spills.
Oh, yeah. She spills coffee on the console of the TARDIS, ignites the thing on fire, and turns the TARDIS on. And where they're going? Well, it's anywhere in space or time.
Yes. And that's how it wraps up. But, I mean, this was just from top to bottom. This is fun. This is absolutely vintage Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. This is something that you show a new viewer.
Yeah.
And you want to get them into the fan base.
Yeah.
Because it literally had everything that you want. Mm-hmm. The characters, the diversity, the ambiance of just the over-the-top plot lines, but yet keeping it grounded enough that you connect to it on a very simple level.
Sure, and because at the end of the day, it's science fiction, it's long running, but it's also a family television show. It's a show you can sit down with your kids, and sure, there's going to be some moments where the kids might get a little nervous or a little scared. Mm-hmm. Hi, looking at you, the episode where the kids ask, "Are you my mommy?"
Yeah,
that's a little scary for kids, but. It's a kid's show. It's fun. It's whimsical. It's got some science behind it. It's fun for the whole family.
Oh, absolutely. And especially when you have David Tennant, who's mastered this role.
Uh-huh. There's a reason they brought him back twice, even though typically they don't come back.
No, they typically don't. Mm-hmm. But in this case, this is a great gateway to get fans into the fandom, especially now with the deals they have with Disney Plus. And, there's a lot more eyes now that can get onto the product.
So yeah, and we got to mention with that, because I know we said it before, but new listeners, we should mention, if this is your first episode with Doctor Who, hey, welcome to the universe. Mm-hmm. All future episodes starting with this one and going forward will be on Disney Plus. However, if you want to haven't seen any Doctor Who or want to go back and rewatch some of the stuff, it's hard to find the older stuff, from like the 60s through the 80s, just because it doesn't necessarily have the streaming rights. So I know if you go to, I think it's BritBox on Prime Video, if you subscribe to the BritBox Prime Video channel, you'll get some there. There's some on the Tubi streaming service, which is free. You got some ads, but it's there for free. But if you want the stuff from the reboot, which is where I recommend you start, to this point, or to the episode prior to this, those episodes are going to be on Max, at least until I would figure the streaming right deal with that ends, and then I expect they might end up on Disney Plus, or they'll just stay there. But for the time being, you will have to go to Max to watch prior episodes if you want to rewatch or catch up on stuff you might have missed.
Yeah, I mean, 60 years is a lot of TV.
It's a lot of TV.
So that's
not even counting the TV specials.
Right. So that's why I say if you want to find a good place to start, the Christopher Eccleston season.
It should be the first season under the new banner. Yeah.
Right. That would be the place to start.
Good jumping on point.
Or you just jump in now.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because I thought this was a great new viewer jump point.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Typically, with you and I having watched kind of from the same point, the Christopher Eccleston run up through now, when it comes to when they bring on a new actor or actress as the Doctor, they typically don't reference a whole lot with prior seasons. There's a little bit of reference. There's a little
here and there.
Little here and there, but it's not anything like you need to have seen what happened to understand what's going on. You might miss out on a couple of references or a couple of little key information points, but it won't be to your detriment.
No, absolutely not. Like, this is something that you can easily get access to, pick up enough that you don't have to really be an aficionado.
Also, Wikipedia is your friend.
Oh, true. But to just see where they start with this episode, I thought this was a great jumping on point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I took it from. I was
Absolutely.
like, this is something I would show somebody that has never seen it and wants to find out because, like I say, it really captures all the elements that make Doctor Who great. Sharp writing, great acting, diversity, really walking the fine line between funny and serious, but really keeping it centered and grounded to the themes that they want to do for the episode. And that is very tough to do, but this has been a staple of Doctor Who from the dawn of time, pun intended. This is something that with this show, going into, you're going to get. And where they build seasons and how they kind of do the structures for that is really fun to watch. And they go into a lot of crazy different directions, like even with their filler episodes.
Yeah.
And this, even though it is filler, because we do know where we're going after these 3 episodes,
Right.
it's still a perfect time to jump on, and I think it's brilliantly placed to have an established character portrayal from David Tennant and bringing back Donna, played by Catherine Tate. And that is one that the older fans know and the newer fans can get into because it literally gives you such a welcoming introduction into what they're doing here. Like I say, it's just nothing but a big bucket of win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, Pat, if you got to put a grade on it, what are you thinking?
If I'm doing this out of 5 stars, I give this 5 stars. This is fun. This is didn't have a whole lot going on in terms of like, oh my gosh, the implications other than the ending, because where the hell are they going to end up? Who's to say? We obviously still have the big cameo guest appearance from Neil Patrick Harris coming at some point. I'm guessing that's going to be in the 3rd special, which is going to be on December 9th, 2023. But we still got that coming. So where we go from here, I don't know. Like you said, it's a fun jumping on point. Even if you don't know anything about Doctor Who other than he's a time traveler, that's enough to go on. They give you enough, and they give you the bare bones, kind of cliff notes, spark notes, information to go on this episode that even if you didn't see the run with David Tennant and Catherine Tate on it, or even if you maybe saw a handful of episodes, 1 episode, 2 episodes, they give you enough to go on for the implications of what it means and what these 2 characters have going on that you won't be lost. It's a fun watch.
Yeah, it's a fun watch. I mean, I got to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I mean, it's near perfect for me, but it's just with any kind of introduction story.
Sure.
I like it's a me thing.
Sure.
I'm the problem. Sure. It's me. I really kind of struggle giving now like perfect scores just because I know that we have 3 parts to go with.
Sure.
So that's why I say, but it's so near perfect that this is something great for new viewers. For older viewers that have been following the fandom, you're still going to find a lot to enjoy from it. And this is going to just really kick in the nostalgia feel for you. And then when we start going into the next 2 episodes, I mean, we know the 3rd one is coming out in December.
Yep.
And obviously the 2nd one is dropping when, Pat?
This upcoming Saturday, December 2nd.
Yes.
And it's going to be dropping at, I believe it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. So we don't have long to wait to see where the story goes, but it's a fun one nevertheless. And you know me, I love seeing the adaptation from comics.
And we should say that all the drops, when I say 4:30 p.m. Eastern, it's all at the same time. And much like Disney Plus does, it's not, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and then you got to wait till 4:30 Central and 4:30 Mountain and 4:30 Western. No, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Western, 2:30, 1:30, like the whole 9 yards. So figure out where it is in your time zone.
Yeah, so definitely make sure you set your dials for that, as we're going to be covering both episodes as they come out. But in the meantime, hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts of Doctor Who, the Star Beast? We definitely want to have that conversation. Currently airing on Disney Plus and a whole slew of other places, so make sure to go check it out. We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and I can finally talk.
Yes, you can.
I can finally talk the true feelings we have about one of our favorite shows on Prime Video via Amazon Studios, Skybound Entertainment, and because we have come to the end of season 1 season 2
part 1.
Yeah, I know. Like I get it confused with the timelines because obviously there was a lot of hype for the return of one of the biggest shows on the animated front, and that is one Invincible. So the Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley book that has really redefined what modern superhero storytelling is. It was a big success on the small screen when it debuted in 2021. Now it finally came back on November 3rd for Season 2, Part 1. So the first 4 episodes are done, and that's what I've been embargoed and I could not speak about.
Yes.
So the embargo time is off. So we're going to do this like we do the first segment. We're going to give the spoiler-free statement, give the countdown, then it's game on. So, Pad, Season 2, Part 1, give me your spoiler-free statement.
The season thus far has been really good. I enjoyed the return episode, first episode, which was a lesson for your next life. That one was a fun one. The second episode, in about 6 hours, I lose my virginity to a fish. A little bit of a step back, a little bit of a letdown for me. That one felt a little bit of filler, a little bit of why are we here? Third episode, this missive, this machination, that one was a fun one. And obviously this last episode, somebody cue the Stained. It's been a while. That one was incredible. You know, I didn't see that coming. I figured the way it would happen and kind of the events that played out wouldn't happen until maybe the 5th episode, that we'd get a little bit of a cliffhanger. But boy, they hit the gas pedal and went going.
Yeah, they definitely didn't waste a lot of time coming back in a big way. Like, obviously, this is an adaptation from the legendary Skybound Entertainment Image comic that really set a precedent for how we look at superheroes now. I mean, its influence is everywhere. So you can't say, like, oh, I don't see this. No, the story of Mark Grayson, and obviously being the half human, half alien future protector of Earth coming of age story, has been one that's connected to many, many readers. And like I say, the book is very, very well done. If you haven't got a chance to check out the comic, highly recommend it. And even coming out of Season 1, the voice acting on this series has just been top-notch. Stephen Yeun, who we know as Glenn from The Walking Dead, really has taken this role and really ran some places with it. And obviously, when he has to compete with one J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man, his father, there's always some great back and forths going on, too. And especially coming into how the season kicked off, I thought they really did a very, very solid job out the gate. I don't think they wasted a lot of time.
No.
Episode 2, I do agree with you. I understood the purpose for it, but I do agree with you, like, in comparison to the other episodes, I thought it was kind of like maybe just a little more set up than I liked.
Yeah.
But nothing against it. But I mean, like I say, I know you got the cast list lined up.
Yeah, I do. This cast is absolutely nuts. So yeah, as you mentioned, there's Stephen Yeun as Mark Grayson, J.K. Simmons as Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man. Sandra Oh, who a lot of folks are going to know from Grey's Anatomy for so many years, is in there as Debbie Grayson. Gray Griffin, the legendary voice actress, is in this show as well. You've got Jillian Jacobs, who a lot of folks know as Adam Eve. Kevin Michael Richardson's is in this show. Zachary Quinto, Carrie Payton from Walking Dead. Also Ross Marquand from Walking Dead. Some dude named Clancy Brown. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. Some unknown, relatively new voice actor called Mark Hamill, also in this show.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Never heard of that dude. Wonder what he's done. But no, this cast is absolutely nuts from top to bottom.
Yeah, no, this one definitely came with it and really wanted to set the ground running. And this is one thing that with animated shows too, you know, it is a little different than live action, but it's the acting you get out of these voice actors that really elevate characters. You know, like I say, with Amber, Zazie Beetz, who voices her, really gives, you know, a real strong persona to that character, and really gives, for being somebody that's a human in the, you know, world of superheroes. Yeah, it's always a great take to see how they go about this, and just with the writing in general too. Like I say, they borrow a lot of superhero elements, but yet how they mix it in with everybody else, like that's the key point. Like I say, you see such strong acting from Sandra Oh's Debbie with this too, being somebody that's, you know, living this life, but yet is outside looking in. Like I say, there's just so many elements.
Well, and especially you think back to what happened with the end of season 1, where her life got flipped up on its head 9 ways to Sunday. Yeah. And this is somebody who like had figured she knew the world, figured she understood it, and was accepting of that because she was accepting of it enough to marry a superhero, have a kid with the superhero, was okay with him going off to save the world. Because we've seen that in plenty of other instances, you know, Iron Man and Spider-Man and Superman and whatnot. Like, oh, you got the love interest, you got the boyfriend, or not boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, what have you, or even boyfriend in some instances. where they're like, oh no, don't go. You can, you're going to hurt yourself. I don't want to lose you. And she's just like, no, yeah, go ahead. You'll be fine. Whatever. To all of a sudden, the guy she thought she knew, and I'd say spoilers, but the first season came out a couple of years ago. The guy she thought she knew and thought she loved almost beat their son to a bloodied pulp.
Yeah.
And almost killed him. And then basically was like, okay, bye.
Yeah. So where the season jumps in, like I say, I think they did a real good starting point.
It was, especially that opening. Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's a lot to really enjoy about this series. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you definitely want to do yourself a favor and check it out on Prime Video right now. It's on demand form, so you can definitely binge watch it and catch up to it.
Don't know when the second half of season 2 is coming.
Sooner than later.
That'd be my guess.
Is what I've been hearing. I can't really kind of say when.
Because I look at the IMDb page. It's got the seasons listed, and you go to season 2. And obviously this last episode that came out on Friday, November 24th. So for season 2, episode 5, it just says 2024.
Yeah.
So we know it's going to come, and you got to figure it's done if it's not done already. So it'll be coming. My guess it'd be February.
I'd say February, March range if I had to guess. Like I say, I do not officially know.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I was fortunate enough to get screener access for this. I don't know anything more than that of when it's coming back.
Right.
But I know, I would say this, if I had to be if we do locks and leaps.
Sure.
I would say a lock would be February. I will say a leap, a Super Bowl commercial.
Ooh, that could be.
I'm going to just throw that out there.
That could be.
We'll have to wait to see how it goes from there. But obviously, we've talked enough spoiler free. Let's get into the spoiler talk. So in 3, 2, 1, let's talk Invincible.
Yeah, so, are we talking this most recent episode or just the season in general?
Season in general we can do.
Season in general has been good. That opening with, the whatever the fuck that was, alternate Earth, future possibility where the Earth is enslaved. Mark's done a 180 and done a heel turn, if we're using professional wrestling terms, and he's joined his father. He's enslaved the Earth, the Viltrumites, the alien race that his father is a part of, and he is at least half a part of. He's gone, hey, you know what? To borrow another term for pro wrestling from Seth Rollins, I'm not selling out. I'm buying in.
Yeah.
He bought in, enslaved the Earth, and they were warlords over the entire planet. I have not read the comic. I'd like to, but every time I go to my local Barnes and Noble when I got a gift card and I look at the Invincible set, there's about 900 volumes of varying sizes, and I never know which one to buy, so I always get cold feet and I never do it. So I haven't read the comics yet. I did not see that coming, and I was just like, oh my God, this is such a turn. I didn't see this coming. And then it cuts to the title sequence, so, it shows Invincible, and then comes out of that, and everything's all hunky-dory. It's graduation day, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck was that? Was that, an alternate timeline? Was that a glimpse of what possibly may come? Some fates from Greek mythology type of shit? Like they're showing us a possible future? Hell of an opening.
Oh, absolutely amazing opening. I think they want to set the ground running early. That's the big thing about it. Because obviously Mark is coming off the the heels of
getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, by his dad. How do you come across that?
And all the people that got killed in the crossfire.
But this is where you also see the Maulers, who have been the interesting villains.
A little bit of comic relief.
Yeah, I do love how they come across on the show. I think they add such a dynamic there. Voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. They really kind of teeter that line of just the silliness of superheroes, but yet the seriousness as well too. So you are seeing how they're kind of working on their plots that they're trying to obviously get back to. Getting free and getting back to their mission of taking over the world. But it does kind of throw a lot of different elements into the story as well too, because obviously the government is trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Because their equivalent of the Justice League is dead.
Yep, Omni-Man killed everybody with the Guardians.
What was that, first episode season 1? Yeah.
Oh, wasted no time.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's been something that they've been trying to figure out and obviously get Mark more involved to be Earth's defender. And he's clearly not ready there yet.
Because he's clearly the strongest one of the bunch. They've almost got a Young Justice, Teen Titans thing going on, where it's like, okay, you guys are the next generation, but like you've got no time to train and no time to prep until you're ready because, hey, all of the people who were ahead of you in the first line, the starters, if you will, are now on IR. They're on injured reserve. They're not coming back. Like, we need you to step up now. And clearly Mark is the strongest one of the bunch. He is so wet behind the ears, it's not even funny.
Oh, no, exactly. Like, for him being thrusted into this role that he needs to save the world, he's clearly not ready for it.
Yeah.
So when he is sent to go start stopping these villains, he's really kind of having a struggle of trying to find his own identity because he's still trying to grow up at the same time. But he's still not there yet.
Oh, no, by the way, at this point, he still hasn't come to grips with the fact that his father tried to kill him.
Yeah, it's something that's been lingering on this entire season thus far, and you see that play out with him, and especially Debbie, the wife of Omni-Man and Mark's mother.
Oh, God.
Like I say, this entire season, I think the breakout star has been Sandra Oh's Debbie, just from the emotional journey that she takes I would say readers, but viewers on.
God, the one episode, what was it? Episode 3, I think? Either 2 or 3, where she goes to get a drink, and I think she goes to pour a bottle of wine, and she opens the cabinet door where the glasses are, and she takes out the glass, and she sets it down, and she's grabbed the bottle of wine, and as she shut the door to the cabinet, it didn't shut all the way, which happens, a little bit of a fix. You get it you get it taken care of, but like she tries to shut it, opens. And she eventually just gets so damn frustrated and upset and she's taking it out on the door because of what happened. And she's had no time to process this. And to our knowledge, at least what we've seen, she hasn't talked to anybody about this because anytime anyone comes to what we see in this season, anytime somebody comes to her door, she goes and ghosts them and doesn't answer. So she's not talking to anybody about this, but she goes nuts on the cabinet door, and eventually rips it off the hinges.
Yeah. It's a great sequence that really shows the pain she's going through.
Yeah.
And something that viewers will just instantly gravitate with because, like, you can't help but feel for her character and what she's gone through.
Sandra Oh, phenomenal actress.
Yeah, definitely deserves an Emmy nomination for the acting in this one. Seriously. And I think just absolutely just knocks it out of the park with this. Because as the story starts progressing, Mark is becoming more and more involved with what the government is doing, kind of being the fill-in for the Guardians.
Yep.
And obviously with episode 2, the deal with the fish.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you and I both agree this was probably the weakest one of the
four.
The four.
This was the one episode that I got to the end and went, what the fuck just happened?
Well, because I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to give more time to show what was going on with the other characters like Adam Eve, who's voiced by Gillian Jacobs, and her story obviously kind of separating from the superhero life and finding her way and dealing with her own parents and there's issues that they're having.
I like that. I like that portion of the episode.
Yeah,
that was a great part.
Oh, it was great. But it kind of just was a piece to really kind of focus on her. And I thought how they set it up was they did that on purpose to give her the spotlight.
Yeah, I think so.
Because when they went back to Mark's story about the whole underwater kingdom, and I think the only point that they wanted to establish there was to say about this is why Mark needs to listen to what Cecil is trying to say, being the Nick Fury of this.
Essentially, that's what he is. I took it more in a direction of showing Mark is now having to step up and take some of the responsibilities his father took on because, obviously his father covered for a lot, strongest dude on the planet, best superhero, what have you, and now with his father gone, it's like, hey, sorry kid, but you got to step up and shoulder some of the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Which is a concept. Okay. I can see that, but just the way they played it out for me where it's like, oh yeah, there's this underwater race of fish people or whatever it is that like you now have to marry because you killed her husband. I'm like, all right, if you're trying to convey, a concept of like, he's got to shoulder the responsibility of the father. Like I said, I understand the concept. I get it. I'm okay. I'm in. Just the way it played out for me didn't really connect.
No, it didn't, but I understand what they were trying to do. And
yeah, I did too.
It all harkens back on what they want to establish with Cecil, who's voiced by Walter Goggins, being the Nick Fury of that world, being the one that understands, okay, Omni-Man is a true threat. He's gone, but we have to get everybody ready as we can. The Guardians are not there.
No.
So
they're not.
He has to do the best he can. And plus, even with his faithful companion, Donald, who's voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, apologize for messing the name up, and his story that goes on. Like they're truly for the first time here not ready for what's coming.
Hi, Phil Coulson.
Yeah, and it's something that, like I say, it borrows a lot from that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feel. Which it works perfect because that is what this series does. It really reflects.
Well, and that's the cool thing to see is like a lot of these kids, especially, Adam, Eve, and Mark, they're in college. Adam Eve's not, but Mark is, but they're of college age. So they're still trying to figure out the world and figure out what they want to do. And if you're sitting there, listening to this show and you're in college, be it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or hell, even in your undergrad years or graduate years, there's no way you have a full grasp understanding of like what you want to do, where you're at, and where you're going to go. And if you're sitting there thinking you do know, boy, are you in for a ride?
Yeah.
But they're of college age. So like I'm glad they're going the route they are with them. And like, they're trying, they really are. They're trying to step up. They're trying to defend the world, and they're trying to like, hey, we're ready to do it. But also at the same time, they're not because they're still learning. They're still figuring out what they can do. And it's going to be a mess sometimes.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see how they kind of play this out because, like we said, the Guardians of the Globe have not really been up to snuff of what they need to be. And like I say, their story is going on. But the one that I thought was the breakout of all of this was the story of Rudy, the robot.
Yes.
Because now his consciousness has been transferred into a clone body. And he's now coming to terms with trying to manage that. And he's now having struggles with that. And I thought Zachary Quinto, who voices him, and Ross Marcotte, really did a great job of just illustrating the struggle he was going through.
Yeah.
And it's one that it definitely haunts and really kind of reflects the overall theme on this is just, struggling to survive. They've everybody on this, the lead characters here have had some kind of trauma of some sort.
Yeah.
And just how they are fighting back from it. I mean, that's the biggest theme to take away.
Right.
And you see that with Robot too, because he was the leader of the Guardians of the Globe, and now he has a deficit in confidence. And it's haunting him, even though he's now trying to be human and it's not working and is as easy as he thought it was going to be. So it really kind of plays into that aspect as they move forward too, especially going into the third episode, where you are now starting to see, okay, things pick up rather quickly. Like after the second, I hate saying the word filler because it's not, but it really kind of went away from it. But they really sped into a two-part point here with the Viltrumites and basically how Mark gets lured away from the planet because, well, he runs into an old friend that is steering him into space and winds up running into who, Pad? Dear old dad.
Yeah, right at the end.
Yeah.
Who's wearing an apron of sorts? I don't know what that was. That was weird.
It was very weird, but we see that he's on a different world. And
because meanwhile, other than that, whatever the fuck that was at the beginning of episode 1, we have not seen Omni-Man or heard mention of him.
No, he has been a literal ghost. Which, I mean, makes sense because obviously the frustration was coming because he understands what is happening with his world, that he went away from the Viltrumites and what the plan was supposed to be all along, which was going to be take over the world and make it part of their empire. And now that he has not done it, he knows that he's a wanted man. He's on borrowed time.
Yep.
How that is going to play out, we don't know.
Nope.
But it definitely made for some high drama because, like I say, you're having more people trying to recruit Mark to get him to, line up with his dad on, being the only forces to fight back. And that's not working. And it's something that, obviously, with what has happened, why would it work? Like, that was the only thing I thought was kind of a little crazy for them to try and set up. But it makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing that big ending and then it goes right into episode 4, it's been a while. This is where things really pick up.
Yeah, they do.
Because now you get the point of view of Omni-Man after the attack.
A little bit of filler. Well, not filler. Flashbacks. That's what I want to. That's the word I want to say. From what happened at the end of season 1 up to this point, and it basically picks up right where we last saw him in season 1. Standing over his beaten, bloodied to a pulp son, and he feels guilty about it. Presumably, takes off into space and flies away. And then we see then what happens. He flies a long while. Doesn't say how far or how long, but it's long enough that he's gone from mostly shaven too. He's got a full-fledged beard. And then eventually comes upon a black hole of all things, where it's like he's contemplating life, the universe, and his place in it. And it looks like he's about ready to let himself go and sink into said black hole, which don't know what would happen there. And then he sees a spaceship getting sucked into it. And he feels a sense of calling and maybe a little bit of purpose, because there's this bug race on the planet. Not on the planet, the spaceship. They're getting sucked in. The ship's on fire. They can't get anything going. The engines are presumably dead, or they're maxed out because, hey, it's a black hole. You can't escape a black hole. Don't care what anybody in science fiction or fantasy or comic books say, you can't escape a black hole.
Yeah.
Unless you're Omni-Man, because Omni-Man rescues the ship, saves the folks, and he brings them home, and they feel indebted to him. They're like, oh, let us repay you. And then it cuts back to when he reunites with Mark.
So you do see this, father and son moment where they're just coming to terms with what they have.
Hi, Dr. Phil on line 1.
And it's a very powerful episode in that aspect, because you just have the voice acting and Simmons just really take it up a notch.
It's a lot of therapy in this episode for them.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with Mark coming to terms that his dad is now moved on.
Married again.
Yeah.
Even though he's technically still married to his mother. But hey, I don't know if marriage laws work in space the way they do on Earth.
But you know what? We still have one word that describes that universally.
Reasons. Oh, by the way, he's not only married, he's got a kid.
Yep.
Kid is like half Viltrumite, half whatever the alien race is.
Yep.
Skin color, a shade of purple.
Yeah, it's aliens. It's
which
space.
I understand Mark's reaction every time something happens, because even me sitting there watching the episode went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And he shows the kid, he's like, hi. And he's basically like, hi, this is your brother. You need to love him. Even if I were in Mark's shoes, I'd be like, you want me to do what now? Sorry, I'm not buying what you're selling here, dude.
Yeah. But this is where you start seeing Nolan Omni-Man really trying to sell the point of like, this is what's coming. And he's almost going through his own redemption arc for just the trauma he's put himself through. But
right,
he's having to reflect it. Like I had a family, I was happy, and then I went away from it because I have to follow this mission I don't want to do.
Well, and now he knows the Viltrumites are coming for him because he abandoned his post.
Yeah,
he basically says like, listen, the Viltrumites know I abandoned my post. They're gonna come find me. And there's like some Viltrumite law where you can't mate with other species that are like anything below near Viltrumite. So, and the way he said it made it sound like Mark was fine, that humans were close enough to Viltrumites that it's not an issue. But because of the race of bug aliens or whatever, that like, they're not close to Viltrumites, that like the Viltrumites see themselves as superior to all others, and mating with anything less than a Viltrumite or anything near Viltrumite is like heresy and punishable by death. So he's like, listen, they're going to come find me, figure out what the hell is going on with me, that I'm not at my post and doing what I'm supposed to do, when he's supposed to be their best soldier.
Right.
He's supposed to be, the go-to, ace in the hole when the chips are down. So their ace in the hole is not at his post, abandoned it. They got to figure out what's going on. And oh, by the way, he's broken like cardinal rule number 1 in the Viltrumite law, which is don't mate with anything below, what they consider to be superior.
Yeah, this is something Alan the Alien did not cover.
No, he kind of left that out.
No, but I will say I did love seeing him appear this season.
Yes.
Voiced by Seth Rogen, too. Had to throw that in there because we're talking aliens. But it ultimately comes back to General Craig, who is leading the Viltrumites onto Omni-Man's new world, who's voiced by Clancy Brown.
Oh, my God, phenomenally.
I mean, what can you say? It's
a recognizable voice.
Yeah, you can't escape his voice. And they literally come in and just obviously
holy shit
decimate the father and son combo.
I haven't seen a fight this knockdown drag out since Superman took on Zod in Man of Steel. I'll say it.
Oh yeah, no.
Which in my opinion is what superhero fights should be.
Yeah, so
I'm not saying all the blood and all the guts and all the gore, it's fine if it's that type of story. But when these superpowered beings who can literally move planets and move like infinite sums of mass, like it shouldn't be just, oh hey, whoops, they flew into the building and a couple of windows on the building broke. No, like they get knocked into a building, the whole goddamn thing should come down.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely it's like a world of Superman.
Yep.
Like literally, that's what you get here. So even though the father and son duo defeat some of the soldiers that are on the planet, they can't take everybody. They're too wounded.
And this is all after, Omni-Man has sold Mark on what he wants to do. He's like, hey, listen, I need you to help defend these people. I'm not enough. as good as I am. I need your help. And he finally goes, all right, fine. What are we going to do though? He's like, oh, don't worry. We'll train you. We'll get you ready. Everything will be fine. And literally the next second, the Viltrumites show up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, they understand the game. Mm-hmm. And that's why Craig winds up taking Nolan, a.k.a. Omni-Man, captive.
Yep.
So he's planning on executing him.
Yep.
And then he also tells Mark, like, well, congratulations. Your dad bounced out of the equation. Guess what? It's now your job.
You're stepping in. You're going to fulfill his job. And if you don't, well, we'll kill everyone you know.
Yeah. And that's where they kind of leave his story, even though on Earth they still are having a couple subplots that are happening.
Yep.
Like we said, Debbie is coming to terms with what Nolan did and what is going on with Cecil trying to help out with the economic factor is not really going with the direction she wants to go. So she literally says, I want to stop getting money for the royalties from his books.
Yep.
We are going to go somewhere else. And then they do have the kind of the flashback sequence, which I know we didn't spend a lot of time on, with the Guardians of the Globe getting killed by Omni-Man. And during that whole fight, Donald was killed off, much like Loki killed Coulson during the first Avengers movie.
Yep.
And now you start figuring out that, oh, Donald is actually a robot. He's not the real Donald because we saw his spine get shattered.
Well, we see his spine get shattered. He then finds the footage and goes to, he's like, oh my gosh. And then he goes to figure out if it's true or not. So he takes a Bowie knife or something sharp, goes at his wrist or arm or something, and he goes, oh my gosh, thank goodness, because he sees blood. And then he pauses and notices that the tip of the blade is bent.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Terminator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of how they said it, which, like I say, they I'm not even faulting them on doing this. They borrow a lot from pop culture and superhero books.
Which works.
Yeah, it works fine. And that's how they kind of wrap things up for now. So we have a great cliffhanger. We had a lot of action going on. Like I said, we didn't spend a lot of time breaking it down, but the one thing about Invincible is it's ultra violent.
Yeah, it is.
And ultra bloody.
Yeah, it is.
They don't shy away from this.
What was it? One of the Viltrumite soldiers got his guts cut out and got stuck to a wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's the end of that guy. 5 minutes later, there's the dude literally holding his guts in as he's fighting.
Yeah. It looks silly at some aspects, but that's how it's done. And like I say, they don't shy away from it from the comics. So if you've ever read a comic, you're used to this.
Right.
I know I was talking with some fans that are just only into the animated show.
Sure.
And we're like, what is this? I'm like, read the comics. Make a lot more sense.
I mean, if you watch season 1, even if you haven't read the comics high like me, by this point in season 2, you should be used to it.
Right. But I think just a lot of people came on late.
Sure.
Just for the simple fact that you have to remember, when you have a show or movie return after so long.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is going to be something we have with House of the Dragon and The Last of Us with HBO.
Yes.
You're going to have a lot of fans that forget and don't do rewatches. And listen, that's completely up to them. I'm not faulting them. But it's just something that when you take a break as long as they did, and they had one here or two with Invincible, that when you have a new audience that comes in, you need to kind of have that little explanation piece for it. But it still hit the marks it needed to. It still kept the story going on. You have the great supporting cast. You have the Guardians of the Globe trying to find themselves. But like I said, nobody really stood out to me other than Robot at this moment, even though they have some subplots going on. Adam Eve is still in play here and only really had like one episode that she really shined in, but they gave her a lot of screen time to do it. So, I mean, that's one thing. When you have such an ensemble cast, you have to juggle around. But I thought for what they had to do, they hit their marks for the most part and really set the tone for where we're going after this. Pat, you got to put a final grade on this. What would you say for season 1 part or season 2 part 1?
I'd say probably out of 5, probably like a 4 out of 5. You know, just that one episode really knocked it down for me. Other than that, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm in that 4.5 range for this as well.
Sure.
Too. I think for what they wanted to do, it was pretty near perfect. The second episode, I understand why after reading enough superhero comics in my day,
right?
You want to try having that superhero theme of like the uncomfortable situation. And I understood why it wasn't my favorite thing to see, but it did not take away from the overall 4 episodes that we've seen. And obviously having such fine voice acting and really elevating these characters from just being supporting cast members to having their own stories and really seeing the emotional range that is shown. I mean, this is one thing that this show really excels at. And it's going to be a very, very long wait till we see everybody come back, but I'm hoping it's sooner than later, nevertheless. That being said, remember to go check out Invincible on Prime Video via Amazon Studios on all streaming platforms right now. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH Pod. Invincible, Season 2, Part 1. It's a mouthful, but I got it right. What did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? Let's talk about it, shall we? We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll be right back.
Hi, guys. This is Mac Room. I'm the writer of Inferno Go Red, and you're listening to the ODPH podcast.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about, the first of which is some breaking news.
Breaking?
This comes as an exclusive from the folks over at Deadline, and that is we have a writer for the upcoming Avengers The Kang Dynasty film.
Oh.
I would say it appears that rumors of its death were a little premature. Because the article does say, quote, Michael Waldron has been tapped to write Marvel Studios' Avengers The Kang Dynasty. Waldron had already been set to write the installment that would follow Kang Dynasty and will now write both films. Waldron has become one of Marvel's most trusted creative minds, having previously created and served as showrunner of Season 1 of Loki, as well as writing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And the move makes sense to the studio to have him pen both films. Marvel Studio President Kevin Feige will produce. Deadline recently broke that Daniel Cretton would not be directing the film in order to focus on his other Marvel projects like the TV series Wonder Man. Avengers Kang Dynasty is far on the theatrical release schedule, dated to kick off summer on May 1st, 2026, giving Waldron more than enough time to pen a script as the director search begins. The movie will precede Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027, which will wrap up the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 6 features. Waldron has been on quite a run after closing a multi-year mega deal with a combined overall with Marvel/20th Television for Waldron and his production company, Anomaly Pictures, across film and TV. On the TV side, they currently have a full slate under wraps. Waldron launched a new feature film and TV production company, Anomaly Pictures, with his producing partner, Adam Fasulo. Waldron and Fasulo first met and became fast friends, developing and setting up the critically acclaimed series Heels at Stars. Michael Waldron, who, as they mentioned, worked on Loki, Doctor Strange. He also was additional crew on Thor: Love and Thunder, was a producer for 10 episodes on Rick and Morty from 2019 to 2020, was an executive producer on a short in 2021 called The Black Hole, also an executive producer for 6 episodes on a TV series called Good Game. And as they mentioned, he is the writer for the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars movies. So sounds like a good pick in my opinion. I love Loki season 1 and what they did with season 2. And you got the same guy writing both Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Recipe for success in my book.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think for everybody that was jumping the gun, so to speak, about they're going to get rid of Kang and go to Doctor Doom, I think this is, a verification. I was going to say vindication, but I think this is more verification that Marvel is staying the course about what they're doing. The sky is maybe not falling as much.
Right.
Because obviously Loki has been such a big hit with fans.
Yeah.
That this makes perfect sense too, because why would you switch up writers if you can have the same voice on it? This is something not to get any Star Wars fans fired up.
No, you're right.
But this is the same reason why we said it was they should have stuck with JJ for the last 3 movies,
or gotten a separate writer,
to do all 3.
Yeah,
like I say, when you try switching voices, like that midway through, you're going to come into problems. I think this is a smart play. I think this completely solidifies what they're doing, and I think that if they wanted to slide in Doctor Doom for Secret Wars, they could still do that.
They could.
But I think for the Kang Dynasty, it makes all the sense in the world to have the Loki writing team behind it.
Oh, I agree 100%. In terms of the whole Doctor Doom thing, listen, I was not subscribing to this until I heard it. John Hamm for Doctor Doom, please.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many rumors going on. Just to touch upon this very, very quickly.
Because John Hamm has said he wants to play Doctor Doom.
He should.
I saw it. I pictured him in the costume, and I went, okay, I'm in.
Like, there's the thing. There's so many great actors that could step into that role. And the one thing is, for everybody that's saying about the MCU fan base is superhero fatigue and all that nonsense.
Sure.
How many times a day do you see everybody losing their minds over Fantastic Four rumored casting?
Yeah.
I mean, Anna Taylor-Joy is supposed to be connected.
Yeah.
We don't know what role she is going to play in this.
Right.
The Doctor Doom circle of names has gone around about who is going to be the actor to play him. Pedro Pascal being Mr. Fantastic, allegedly.
Right.
For anybody that's saying the fatigue is a real thing, look how many people are excited. They just want to see something new.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that for fans of the MCU, They haven't felt that yet,
Right.
but they're going to once you get some of the bigger names involved, like the Fantastic Four and X-Men. So I think this is a good sign of Marvel is going to be just okay,
Yeah.
and we kind of go from there.
I agree. Switching over to a movie I saw this past week and give my little quick review of it. That would be The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This movie doing very well at the box office. It was number one at the box office 2 weekends ago now. The weekend it opened, and it was number one this past weekend of the long Thanksgiving Day weekend. It was number one, beating out with looking at the 5-day numbers, making $42 million over the weekend, bringing its total gross to $98,373,951, beating out the likes of Napoleon at number 2, Wish at number 3, Trolls Band Together at number 4, and Thanksgiving at number 5. And then for the worldwide numbers, so domestically I mentioned 98,373,951. Internationally, it's made 56,235,287 for a worldwide total of 154,609,238. And I gotta say, this movie, I really enjoyed it. It's directed by Francis Lawrence, who did 3 out of the 4 previous Hunger Games movies.
Okay.
He did Catching Fire, the second one, and then he did Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2, which were the third and fourth movies, respectively. So he's back to helm the film. This movie, if you have not seen the previous Hunger Games movies, perfectly fine. This is a prequel. It takes place, if the math is right, if I remember my math right, takes place about 65 years before the events of the first movie. Don't need to know anything about the first movie or the first movies to go into this one. Although, again,
It helps.
It helps. It doesn't hurt, but
Yeah.
it helps. Not required though. And the movie is phenomenal. Like I said, 2 hours and 37 minutes. My only complaints with it is, the middle part kind of slowed down a little bit and didn't really hit with me. I was kind of like, all right, where are we going with this? They did an interesting thing where they decided to split the movie up into 3 parts, because it takes place over the course of, I guess you would say 3 parts of the main character, who is played by Tom Blythe as Coriolanus Snow. It takes place over 3 parts of his life in rapid succession. So that was kind of the only thing for me. It kind of pulled me out of it for a little bit, because it's like part 1 and then the title of whatever that part is, part 2, and then part 3. And I'm like, okay, this seems a little much. The middle part kind of felt little unnecessary, because it's in between 2 action sequences and some major action. Rachel Zegler as Lucy Gray Baird was phenomenal. Awesome job in that voice. Tom Blythe was phenomenal. The character he plays was previously played by Donald Sutherland in the previous movies as his adult self. This is, a teenage young adult self. He's still in school. Following in the footsteps of Donald Sutherland are some rather large shoes to fill.
Yeah, I was going to say that's no easy task.
Tom Blythe does a phenomenal job. You really get a sense, if you know the character of President Snow and how much of a piece of shit he is. I would put him, and this isn't a spoiler, I would put him in the class of a Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. That, if something bad happens to that character, I don't feel any remorse. I'm like, okay, no, you kind of fucking deserve this.
Yeah.
So Tom Blythe is phenomenal. Viola Davis, oh my God. I already adored the work she does, but she absolutely crushes in this movie and just is such a scene.
She's fantastic.
She steals so many scenes where it's just this crazy, manic, seemingly on the edge of sense and reason, but she's always thinking 8 steps ahead. She's phenomenal in this, and then you can't go wrong, because also Peter Dinklage is in the movie as well. Peter Dinklage is amazing. But like I said, the movie's phenomenal. Cannot recommend it enough. Currently out in theaters. Definitely go see it if you're a fan of Hunger Games, or if you're just looking for something fun to watch. And I will say, the theory I had about why the Hanging Tree song was in the trailers, yeah, you find out about that.
Ooh, okay.
So then moving on to some other bit of news, and this one I am cheering at. Dave Filoni over at
Take your
Lucasfilm.
victory lap pad. You put this into the world.
I have been saying this for a while. I have been championing this and campaigning for this for a while, but it officially became true this past week. Dave Filoni is now Lucasfilm's chief creative officer. So reading from an article on EmpireOnline.com, it says, quote, he's been helping to shepherd the Star Wars universe on the small screen for years now, stepping up further following the launch of The Mandalorian, and Dave Filoni is now being recognized for his hard work. The man who began his journey as a mentee of George Lucas, bringing Clone Wars to screen, has been made the chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. Quote, now I'm what's called Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm, Filoni tells Vanity Fair. In the past, in a lot of projects, I would be brought into it. I would see it after it had already developed a good ways, close quote. The new position will see him work more closely with Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy and head of development Carrie Beck, overseeing not just the TV galaxy, but also the movies. Quote, in this new role, it's opened up to basically everything that's going on, Filoni says. When we're planning the future of what we're doing now, I'm involved at the inception phase, close quote. All of the movies announced at Star Wars Celebration are still in development, and Filoni will be deeply involved, but not micromanaging. Quote, I'm not telling people what to do, Filoni explains, but I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like a part of a Jedi Council almost. Literally hours now of Star Wars storytelling I have done. See, I even phrased that like Yoda. Close quote. And while season 2 of Ahsoka, which was Filoni's brainchild, has yet to be officially confirmed, it's certainly looking a lot more likely now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And then there's a link to the Vanity Fair site for more information. But this is fucking phenomenal work. I have been saying for years, Dave Filoni is the best storyteller Star Wars has right now.
Mm-hmm.
Big screen, small screen, anything in between. The man learned from the feet of George Lucas.
Yeah.
I inevitably can't wait for the Dave Filoni is ruining our childhood posts that are inevitably going to come. Because they'll come.
Oh, yeah,
there were George Lucas's ruining my childhood ones in the early 2000s. There was Kathleen Kennedy's ruining my childhood, in the 2010s. And now here we are in the 2020s. And then pretty soon it's going to be Dave Filoni's ruining my childhood. Those will inevitably come. It's part of Star Wars. Folks, there are people that hated Empire Strikes Back when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are a lot of folks who are like, oh, the thought it's always been the greatest movie of all. No. There is evidence from photos I've been posted online from back in the 80s. Folks hated Star Wars.
Yeah.
Folks hated Empire Strikes Back. Hated it. So hating Star Wars is a time-honored tradition. But this is the best move they could have done. Dave Filoni, like I said, he's the best storyteller they've got. He gets it. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, look up Dave Filoni Duel of the Fates on YouTube. It's a clip from the making of Mandalorian Season 1. And he's not even talking about anything Mandalorian. He's talking about how Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace means more than just, it's good versus evil. There's so much more to it. And if you want to understand why I think that's a good reason, it's a good idea to have him as Chief Creative Officer of Star Wars. Watch that video. That will show you everything you need to know.
Yeah, he's the mad genius.
Yes, he is.
No question about it. Like, this is probably the smartest move they could have done.
Mm-hmm. Then we got a trailer, switching over to some trailer news. Coming in 2024, the first of a 3-part series of animated films, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths. Part 1 is coming out.
This is the iconic storyline that has been done on the small screen. Hopefully not on the big screen, because I think you'd have to do it in multiple parts on the big screen.
Yeah.
Obviously, Crisis is a very, very tricky story to do. Comic-wise, concept is great.
Yeah.
Execution, like I say, everybody's got an opinion about it. Me, I think for DC, it's a very interesting concept. So I'm very curious to see how they pull it off in the animated form.
No, I am too. I'm pulling it up now. Looks like it is being directed by a gentleman named Jeff Wamster, who pulling up his information. He was on the animation department for Guardians of the Galaxy. That was the Disney animated show. For 76 episodes, was a director on Justice Society, World War II, Justice League, Warworld, was also the director on Green Lantern, Beware My Power, so he's been involved with a bunch. It was also on storyboard artist on the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes in 2012, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, was a character designer for 2 episodes in 2014, worked on Ultimate Spider-Man TV series on a number of roles from 2012 to 2015, and then Avengers Assemble, a number of roles from 2012 to 2018, so he's got some experience with the animated superhero side of things. And then some of the cast that is attached to this, you've got Darren Criss attached to Superman, Zachary Quinto reportedly a part of this. Jonathan Adams is voicing the Monitor, and then you've also got Jimmy Simpson and Megan Donnelly. I'm interested to check this out.
Yeah, no, I'm anytime you throw Infinite Earths on there, I'm going to check it out. Just for even like critiquing purposes.
Sure.
Because like I say, the Arrowverse did a version of it, and I didn't think it was the worst.
It was okay.
It was okay. It needed to do what it needed to do.
Yeah.
But and obviously the comic is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
I love the artwork though.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I mean, for as suspect and as questionable as the DC live action stuff can be, Not as of late, exception of Flash. Yikes. But the James Gunn stuff, as good as that's been, the animation stuff, always top notch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can never go wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And like I say, but it's like one of those stories. Like we talk about this all the time, too, with like Dark Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And there's certain stories that you can't do on this kind of level.
Shout out to Iman Vellani. She refuses to watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Smart lady.
Like, listen, I'm telling you, it's smart. And like I say, to bring the storyline from Marvel and the legendary artwork of the late George Perez, like this, when you read it, the bar is raised. Ending, whole different ball of wax. But this is one, like I say, when you throw this out there, you're going to have eyes on the product. Mm-hmm. You got to deliver.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, certainly not least, we got an interesting update to a character's origin backstory. For now, I don't expect this to stick, but spoilers ahead. It was revealed in Uncanny Spider-Man issue number 4, which dropped this past week, November 22nd to be specific, that Spider-Man is now a mutant. Or maybe he was always a mutant. Bum, bum, bum. So you've got the ongoing saga of Nightcrawler playing another version of Spider-Man. Obviously you got the protests going on in New York City. One of the Stark Sentinels, because I realize, Tony, if you're not keeping up with comics, there are Sentinels in New York that are parading around in Iron Man colors. Tony had nothing to do with it, but Tony doesn't exactly have control of his company these days.
Yeah.
It's rough times for the guy. But the Sentinel shows up, scans one person, says, "Oh, hey, you're not a mutant." And then he scans Spider-Man, and he says, quote, "Alert, alert, genetic anomaly, mutant detected." And Spider-Man says, "What?" And then he says, "Listen, I'd be proud to be a mutant, but I'm just a friendly neighborhood science accident. So," and then the Sentinel cuts in, "surrender or be subdued." So it looks like, for now, Spider-Man is a mutant.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that they've crossed a couple times in the past in Marvel. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man could be, and it would open up a lot of stories.
I know because I just recently read through the entire Ultimate Spider-Man run. From the 2000s from Brian Michael Bendis. I know they played around with the idea a couple times, like they hinted at it, but they never went full blown into it. It was always like, he could be, no, he's not.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing that it's tough to do that because Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Like when you have a character that has an iconic story, like he does, giving him the mutant origin instead, I think, takes away from the character.
Sure.
Like, I understand why they do it, and especially you can go a lot of different places, and if you're focusing the character to be more closely tied to the X-Men for the movie purposes, I get it. Mm-hmm. But I think in this instance, I don't think it'll last for long. I think it was thrown out there to get some reaction, which, like, listen, it's a great storyline idea. I'm not saying this was done for shock value. Mm-hmm. But I think that the way they're doing this is just kind of get the gauge in the room about like what people would react to it,
right? And
see if there's a great story to go along with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
And so that's why I say I'm interested to see where they go. I don't think it's going to last because it's like
to me, if you know what's been going on with the story with like who controls Stark Unlimited, because it's not Stark Industries, it's Stark Unlimited.
Yeah.
And who's running that company and kind of the motivations and the machinations they inevitably will have going on behind the scenes. It wouldn't surprise me that like those, because I want to keep it spoiler free in case you haven't read it, or haven't kept, been fully kept up. But like it would make sense given who's in control for them to have like manipulated some stuff, or like, because you got to figure this is drawing from a database of some kind that like they manipulated the database in some capacity that like, oh, it'll read like this because I want to get everyone to turn on all of the heroes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully agree with you, especially now going into the end of the Krakoan era next year.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see a lot more stories kind of borrowing a little bit from that idea.
Yeah, could be.
And like, listen, I'm excited to see where they're going to go with the end. And I think if they can tie Spider-Man in with that, I'm more open to that idea. Mm-hmm. So that said, I mean, obviously it's a big week at the comic shop. Pad, what are you picking up?
Got a couple things. One from DC, one from Marvel, and then one from the fine folks over at Dynamite Comics. From DC, Action Comics, issue number 1059. Of course, Philip K. Johnson's still writing this. And this is Men of Steel. And you've got Steel on the cover, and then you've got Superman in kind of a steel costume, rocking a sword. Description of this reads, quote, "As the forces of Nora Stone's Blue Earth take control of Metropolis, Superman dusts off his war world weapons and armors up alongside Steel to take their city back. Can even the House of L defeat this potent new threat? Meanwhile, the shocking true identities of Nora Stone's mysterious family are revealed, building up to a battle royal for the ages, a pivotal issue not to be missed, plus the conclusion to the Jean Lun Yang and Victor Bogdanovich new Superman of Metropolis. And Dan Parent, Kevin Keller, explores the world of John Kent like never before. Super interested to see what happens with this. And the War World costume is back. Oh boy.
Yeah,
boy.
That cover is looking amazing.
And then from the folks over at Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man, Gang War First Strike, issue number 1. John Romita's on the cover art of this one. You got Zeb Wells is the author. Joey Vasquez is the artist of the issue. And this one reads, Prelude to Gang War. The supercrime landscape of New York has been on edge. This issue, they jump over that edge. What incites the war? Who hired Shotgun and took out Tombstone? What, if anything, can Spider-Man do about it? Everything you need to know before Gang War officially kicks off next month is here. Should also note there's a couple tie-in issues with that as well. There is the Spider-Woman and Luke Cage Gang War tie-ins as well. So that's definitely something to check out because Gang War, I get the feeling is going to be all sorts of crazy.
I'm here for it because I need something like that for my Spider-Man stories. Like I want to get back to that street level craziness.
Yeah. And then lastly, certainly not leastly, from the folks over at Dynamite Comics, no, it's not Gargoyles. It is 007 for King and Country.
Oh, that's your book.
From Philip K. Johnson.
Yep.
This one reads, quote, There will always be in England. Final issue. It all comes down to this. Bond versus Merimden. No holds barred. No quarter given. Super excited for this. The Bond comics, if you don't read and you're even a casual Bond fan, you don't need to have seen every movie. These comics are phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I say, you are very excited about it. You champion those quite often. And like I say, Philip K. Johnson is always putting in solid work.
Yeah, he
always.
is. Yep.
So my picks this week, starting at DC, we have a new event taking place.
Uh-oh.
Titans Beast World, number 1.
Thought you were going to say Beast Wars.
You know, I have said that a couple times as a Freudian slip. It's just, I mean, obviously Beast Wars is Beast Wars.
Acknowledge Beast Wars.
Yes, but this is Beast World. It's Tom Taylor. And this is the first time the Titans are taking the center stage as the premier superhero team for DC in their crossover. So this is one I definitely am excited to check out. Also from DC this week, Alan Scott, The Green Lantern #2.
Ooh.
Great first issues. Really excited to see this story of obviously one of the biggest franchise players of the JSA. So definitely excited about that. Penguin #4. I'm really liking the take Tom King's doing with this book. So
nice.
I'm excited to see it because obviously the Penguin can be a very interesting character. But if he's written well, I mean, there's a lot of great stories you can go. And Tom King, I like the setup he does, bringing that crime noir style to it.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what's happening here. Over on the Marvel side of things, X-Men Blue Origins. So this is kind of taking a deep dive into Nightcrawler. Obviously, as we were talking about, the Uncanny Spider-Man. So this one, I mean, the cover looks really, really interesting. So I'm definitely excited to check that out. Also, from Marvel, like you touched upon, the Gang War spinoffs are definitely catching my attention as well. And Captain America #3 with JMS on the writing duties. Very excited to go pick that up and see what's going on there. There's a lot that's happening at Marvel, too. Like I say, they got some really interesting books coming out. I say Star Wars, too. Obi-Wan Kenobi for you.
Yeah.
That's
the adaptation of the TV show.
And obviously The Last Days of Moon Knight 2 with Jed McKay writing. Howard the Duck #1. Chip Zdarsky is involved.
Oh, boy.
That's enough for me. Like I say, I don't need that much. I just need to know Chip Zdarsky is doing Howard the Duck, and I'm going to go pick that up. So that's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on for. Comixology Original, speaking of Chip Zdarsky, The All-Nighter #12. Continuing their final story arc. So a lot of good things happening there. Black Site #3. Stephanie Phillips. Enough said. You just go buy it. It's great. It like I say, you see her on a tagline for a book, you just go pick it up. You know you're going to get your money's worth. Because that's what I'll be doing at the comic shops, or the digital comic shop, that is, this week. On the image side of things, very quickly, Local Man #7 is coming out. This has been a great series that is definitely gaining a lot of attention, and rightfully so. If you like a throwback to the 90s, this is perfect. I love this book. I think that what Tony Fleeks and Tim Seeley are doing here is just absolute vintage magic, and I love this series. Edenwood #2, Tony Daniels, like really interesting supernatural book that's going on. A lot of cool things to expect from this. Issue #1 was wild, so I can only imagine where we're going issue #2. Kaya number 13 kicks off the new story arc by Wes Craig, so excited about that. The Schlub number 4. I know everybody at the Nerd Initiative bullpen is raving about this series, so I know they're all going to be talking about this as well. Crave number 1, kind of an interesting book that is going to be hitting the shelves too. And Firepower number 29, I believe.
Ooh.
Because we're getting up there near the end of the series. I know that they have announced that it will be wrapping up. So this is one, obviously, Robert Kirkman, Chris Samney. This is going to be one you want to keep your eyes out for via Skybound Entertainment. So obviously they are doing big things over there. On the Boom Studio side of things, very quickly, a lot of series are kind of wrapping up a little bit. Alice Never After. So this is Dan Penozin's take on Alice in Wonderland. It's a wild series. I think you're going to absolutely dig it. The conclusion, if you've been reading along, you know this is going to be a wild ending. And that's why I say you're going to really dig this. If you haven't checked this series out, I mean, if you want something different that kind of twists your an old fairy tale, if you will, this is going to be one you want to check out. Sirens of the City number 5 is also finishing up to Joanne Starr and Kari Randolph's really interesting supernatural horror tale. This is going to be something that I think fans are going to be talking about. We're going back to the Berserker storyline with Keanu Reeves there with Berserker Fallen Empire number 1. And obviously 2 of my favorite books at Boom. I scream about these all the time. Like I said, Stephanie Phillips' writing. I pick it up. But I will say it's the coolest book at the shops each time it drops. Grimm number 15. Flaviano, Rico Renzi, Tom Napolitano. Like I say, this is a perfect book. Like I say, I love the creative team on this. And this book is just cool. Like every time you pick this issue up, an issue of Grimm up, it's a vibe. It's an energy. It's indescribable. Like I say, there's just a lot of win that is happening with this. So definitely excited about that. And then last but not least on my list, Something is Killing the Children, number 35.
Heyo.
So if you read 34, you know some big things are happening. Erica versus Cutter. Let's fucking go. Yeah, I actually had to drop an F-bomb. That's how amped up I am for this. Because what they do is the slow burn better than everybody. And I tell you right now, if you are not picking up Something That's Killing the Children this week, that might be arguably like on the top of my list this week of stuff to check out. Just because I am so excited to see where we're going with this. Because I fully expect it's going to go into some very, very crazy places. And anytime that we get to those finales in the Slaughterverse, if you will, they always deliver. So for that and much more, nerdinitiative.com on Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every hour on the hour till the bullpen has stopped writing about the books you need to pick up this week. I know we got the top 10 most anticipated books by the Comic Concierge up right now. And Tuesday, we got a little something else dropping there too. So you want to keep an eye out for that. So like we like to say, to end all our comic coverage, make sure to go out and support your LCS wherever you're at, because especially this time of year, just go in and go get some books.
Yeah.
You go get some trade paperbacks. Go support.
Check out some back issues.
Yeah, go support them. So like,
honestly, I'll tell you right now. Go to your local comic shop, go check the back issues, and go check for the current run of Iron Man.
Yeah.
You will not regret it. Some phenomenal writing.
Absolutely. No, that's a great... That'll be the homework assignment this week. Maybe we'll do some swag giveaway. I don't know. We'll think of something for that. If you guys are out at the shops, definitely let us shout your shops out too. And I will always end with this as well for the holiday season, especially. Pay up your pull lists. Don't let them go unpaid through the holidays. Get your stuff caught up for the holidays. Start the new year off fresh, because it absolutely means the world to the comic shop owners when you pay that up. Don't let it get too out of control. Just putting that out there as a PSA, folks. And just make sure to go support them on New Comic Book Day as you're listening to the latest edition of the ODPH podcast, because for anything and everything it is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. Vote for the Cheersies. We'll see you next time.